Welcome back to our Catch Up with Coach series. We're here with Coach Vickie Denny of the women's volleyball team. And Coach, great minds think alike, I guess, with these virtual backgrounds, right?
Right, looks good.
Yeah, absolutely. But we appreciate you taking some time to join us. I know it's a weird time for everybody with the COVID situation. But let's go back to last season a little bit if we could, and then we'll talk about this upcoming season. But another special year for our ladies this last year. Another great season for Bruins volleyball. What do you think, especially the latter part of the year as we went into regionals and then our performance at the national tournament, what do you think was so key in that team coming together to perform the way they did?
Well, I really think it was our senior leadership. Those young ladies had been with us since the start of the program and had gone through some, difficult times at the beginning as we were trying to put a team together. And I just thought they did a great job their senior year, providing the leadership we needed. Sustaining the culture we had begun. So I really, hats off to them for being great leaders as they finished their senior year.
We got into the national championship again against a familiar opponent in Maranatha, and just take me through that game a little bit. I know it was more so than the first time that we played them in the national championship, especially I believe it was that third set where they came back and really made a game of it, and really the whole time neck and neck. But take me through that national championship.
Right, it was another great match, and Maranatha always brings a team ready to compete. I felt like even though we won the first two sets, they were not easy wins, and then the momentum kind of shifted towards Maranatha. They had those twins, the Johnson twins, two great players playing in their senior final match, and I felt like they really stepped it up. They pulled out that third match, and to be honest, as we were going to the other side of the bench, you always, have that thought in your mind, are we going to be able to close this out in four? And, as we were down in that last fourth set, we were down 17, I think it was 17-22, and Ring put down a kill. We got the ball back, and then our senior libero, Selena Walker, went back and, did what a senior should do. She finished out with great serving, and we played some great defense. And it was a really special win for our program. And, I was just going back looking at our very first match we ever played, just a little comparison. And what's interesting is Selena Walker was our very first server for our very first game. Wow. And then she was able to finish out being the final server in this national championship match. So I thought that was kind of a neat comparison.
See, I'm the one that's supposed to find those tidbits of information. You're taking my job here. You mentioned it before, Coach, the senior leadership that we had on the team this last year. Obviously, several of those graduating and moving on, which as a coach is another challenge that you all have to face, and that players don't stay forever, and you want them to graduate and go on and live lives and those kinds of things. So talk to me a little bit about the seniors that are leaving, and then what you hope to do with the returners and the new freshmen that we have coming in.
Well, we always say every year is different, and I've learned over my many years of coaching that other players step up. When they have the opportunity, they will step up. We do have some spots to fill. We will have a pretty young team. Last year's freshman crew was a really solid crew, and 7 of them, they'll be sophomores this year. They're going to have to step up big for us. We only have 2 seniors and 1 junior. So we really will be building for the future and trying to get some experiences early on so that by the time we get to the finals, we can compete at the regional and national levels.
As you guys, normally you would have a full off season in the spring to be able to, utilize practices and getting in the gym together. Obviously, with the whole COVID thing, that really kind of went out the window with that. So first, let's go back to before all this began, back in mid-March. You're following along with the news as everything's going on, and you learn that, school's going to close and we're ending the semester and we're finishing it all online. What were some of those initial thoughts that were going through your mind at the time?
Well, that last week, right as, COVID hit, and then the decision was made right at the end of that week, that was our first week of our spring season. And we had a couple practices. We looked kind of rough in the first few. And then on Thursday, we just had an outstanding practice. It was a great, girls were starting to do things we had been talking about, and I was really pumped. But then that's when we had found out that was our last practice. And so at least we finished on a positive note. The thing is, all teams are in the same boat. We're all going to be coming back into our fall seasons, not as ready as we want to be. But I have a lot of confidence in this group of young ladies. They're very coachable. They want to learn. They want to get better. They want to continue our culture and our tradition. And so it was really sad. We did a quick goodbye, took a quick picture. Fortunately, because of technology, we've been able to stay in contact with our team. We've had weekly Zoom meetings up through June. We've had some special times of prayer, and we did a Bible study, and then we did some leadership training. So although it was a different type of spring, I feel like that we did get some things accomplished. And then as we go into the summer, they're into their regular summer conditioning programs. We have usually 2 different types of programs, those that have access to gyms and those that don't. So we're just continuing what we would normally do in a summer that wouldn't be hit by a pandemic.
How have you had to change some of, specifically when they shut down campus and everybody's going home and you don't have the normal several weeks of a spring season to work through practices and things? What were you telling your players in terms of how they could get around it with working out, with training, because obviously the whole country was basically shut down?
All right. To be honest, that first month, we met every week, but we did not talk a lot about volleyball. We talked about how we should respond and what we should learn during a very unusual and unprecedented time that they will look back on in the rest of their lives. They'll remember this period of time. So early on, it was more just about their spiritual well-being, their mental well-being, their emotional well-being. Of course, they were trying to transition to the online platform. So I really didn't want to give them a lot of extra things to do. As online classes began to wind down, that's when we began to insert some, okay, let's try to do these kind of things. Let's try to get some touches on the ball. I had a kind of a transitional conditioning program for the month of May, just to get them back doing some workouts. Again, that was such a different time, and they were all in different spots of the country, plus they were all in different places emotionally. So early on, not a lot of volleyball, but we did talk a lot about Colossians. We're in Colossians this next year, and it's interesting. The Lord gave me that book that we should study for the next 4 years. We do 1 chapter a season, but in chapter 1:18, it says that in Christ he should be preeminent. And I just thought, wow, that's so true, right? During this time of the COVID, Christ it should be above all else. And so regardless of what our season is going to look like, regardless of what happens, keeping our eyes focused on him, and the rest will take care of itself.
I know you've been very intentional always in your coaching career, and with this whole COVID pandemic, has it changed some of your ideas in terms of ways that you can connect with players and others based upon, hey, let's admit it, we've all been thrown into the video conferencing and those kinds of things, but has it changed any of the ways that you're able to interact with players or interact even with recruits or other things?
Right, it's really been a shift, and again, thank the Lord for technology and being able to still be in contact. We really kind of emphasized the idea of relationships, while we're away from each other, really trying intentionally every week to have an action plan that, I will contact 3 people this week on the team and I will do this. I will, encourage them to take risk. I will tell them I'm specifically praying for them. So, like I said, we're maybe not getting as many touches on the ball as a coach would like, but that whole relational aspect, I think will help us as we come back, and we'll be stronger. On the recruit side, to be honest, we've had a couple of recruit meetings where we've had groups of young ladies come on. We've been able to have some of our players come on too. And those have been pretty positive and a pretty nice way, very easily to get, a group of 15 to 20 prospects with a couple of our current players and just talk about the program and see what questions they have. So it's a different way of recruiting, but we're hoping that it's going to pay off, and the 2021 players that we'll be able to get will be because of what we've done during this downtime.
Absolutely. It's hard to believe, Coach, we're entering year 5 this year of the Bruins volleyball program. And it seems like yesterday we were just getting everything going. But as you look back collectively over the last 4 full seasons and now entering our 5th season, what do you think? I mean, obviously people are going to look at national tournaments and region championships and all this kind of thing. But as you look collectively at the program, what are some of the things that you're most proud of? And then 2, what do you think has been most key to that success?
I would say being able to establish a Christ-centered culture, where, I mean, we say that all the time, right? But to, intentionally, starting from scratch, what do we want our program to look like? And, we want to glorify God. We want to use our talents and abilities for Him. We want to invest in one another. We want to reach out to just not our teammates, but to our school community, to our local community, being more other-centered. And obviously we want to be able to compete. We want to be able to win games. But I have been very pleased how quickly the players bought into what we were trying to do and got on board. And I think that really was demonstrated by how our seniors responded this last year. They know what I want, they know what I expect. And to be honest, this past year, it was just a matter of stepping back and letting them lead and doing the things that, we had talked about and we had encouraged, and to see it, really happening on a consistent basis. Again, we're not perfect, still have a ways to go, but we're thankful for what the Lord has done here. It truly is of Him. And when I think about it, has only been 4 years and what He's allowed us to not just accomplish, but to experience, as a group of these young ladies, the memories they've formed, the experiences they've had, the relationships they've been able to have with one another. Those are for a lifetime. And it's just fun for me to kind of sit back and watch it happen.
Yeah, it's been great to see over the last 4 years. Year 5 coming up here in the fall. You can find out more information, fans, by visiting bjubruins.com. The schedule is up, and we're looking forward to another great year. But, Coach, again, thanks for the time today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Johnny.